Good morning, good evening, everyone. Hi! Can you hear me well? You probably can. I know the music is a bit loud. But here I am. Hi! Oh yeah, I forgot. Today, it is happening. I can't exactly wait for an immediate response. Because it's YouTube. We are ready for a lot of reading, which is not a lot of reading. Because this episode will be a lot shorter than other ones, which is actually fine because some of my family members are working from home, so I don't wanna bother them too much. But you remember what I promised you, right, Quill? That I will show you this behind me. Which is actually not really visible because it is cut off. You can see it here. That it is behind me. But yeah. It's this one. And yes, it's hand drawn. It's hand painted. And I have some others right here, which are not really the best, like Megumin, Bezer here, some Junkrat. And ReZero one. I just don't have a place to put them on. At least not yet. I was lazy. I'm not like my neighbor who is drilling holes in every single inch of their house. Because that's how it sounds like sometimes. I actually wanna draw some more, but I'm lazy a lot and I don't really have time for that. Also, we need the inspiration to do that. You know that. Everyone knows that. You need inspiration to continue anything. Yeah, I wanna hang those up, but yeah, you need to drill some holes for that. I will at some point. So let's switch back to this, because actually we are here for reading. And I have no idea what kind of music is gonna fit this or not. But let's start. Skyline saw the first flying unicorn, chapter 13. The Ascension. Obviously we are not gonna continue with... Let's just say it is Persona 3 portable OST, The Sun. We are not gonna continue this. We are gonna do it with Maya's theme, which should be fitting for everything basically. There you go. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, The Wonderbolt Academy sure had a different feeling to it, and it was almost entirely dark. Rumors of searing wind quitting the board spread like wildfire, much like her namesake. That much of the rumors were consistent. The reason for her quitting was what was up for speculation. A lot of my fellow cadets looked at me as a potential explanation. Some knew about the time she picked on me somehow, but far more known about the time searing wind almost attacked Sternwing. I heard other rumors too, of course, that she was crackling under the stress of her job. Also, let's lower this a little bit. That she had a family emergency, that one of her wings got some cumulative injury that she was trying to hide from public eye. Overall, it was a depressing atmosphere, and I was not immune to it. The drill instructor sounded fine for the most part, but I suspected that they were just better at hiding their own feelings. Besides, they had their work to throw themselves into. I know. They were not fools, however. They must have noticed the performance drop, and they probably had a pretty good idea as to why. I kept expecting them to give the whole academy a pep talk because of it, but they never did. It was almost as if they were impressed, and wanted to sweep this whole issue under the rug as swiftly as possible, and until then, they acted like nothing was wrong. Wow, that actually sounds like some workplaces I know. More than ever before, I gained a growing feeling that I did not fit in the board, or even my fellow cadets. Those that were left at any rate. Oh, those that were left at any rate. It was actually around this time more and more of them dropped out. Statistically, that was expected given the history of the academy, but I couldn't help but notice precisely when most of the dropouts occurred. It didn't feel like a coincidence that many more cadets dropped out just when things started to get depressing there. To be honest, I had thoughts like that myself. There were a lot of things going through my head, and over time I started to notice an ever-piling list of problems with me remaining with the boards. My wind controller could make me the fastest and more enduring flying in the sky, though not necessarily the most maneuverable. That's not to say I was bad at maneuverability, by any means, but when I compare myself to the incredible talents and some of the other cadets, it helped to remind me that this academy usually does attract the best of the best. To achieve my best speed, however, I had to make the winds blow on me very hard, and that's also the reason why maneuverability was occasionally an issue for me. The faster I fly, the weaker I turn. I could focus on narrow these winds to increase speed within the wind tunnel while also minimizing the external intensity of the winds. It was a fine balancing act. To be sure, I had become the best flyer I had ever been in my life up to that point. I learned many few fancy tricks, and I greatly improved my own personal flying skills. For this reason alone, it made my time in the academy worth it. Beyond that, however, what else did I have to look forward to? Fitting in the academy socially was quite a chore. There was also the fact that I did not like to perform in general, not in front of an audience. I was too shy for that, and that was part of my personality too. Too superficialistic and off lightly. That alone blew me a major hole in my incentive to remain with the balls. If they are performance too first and foremost, then me being shy was a huge flaw in my plan to remain with the balls. My wind control also messed up other ponies' flight formations. The degree of precision control they need as a team in the sky demanded that I refine my tactics, but I just couldn't do that. Though There were some advantages to my strategy too. I could give other flyers a boost, using the wind for example, and precision flying could also mean controlling the wind over my partners as well, but greatly complicated my efforts. There was already so much for me to pay attention to, just on a personal level. It was made even harder if I had to keep track of and deliberately affect the movements of all my peers as well, just to make sure I didn't cause an accident. Also, it wouldn't show the actual talent of the flying ponies if you are actually helping them. That has been issued in the original stories canonically as well. If done well, it could visually achieve very fantastic results for unique reasons, but it was too overwhelming and stressful for me to keep up on a daily basis. If I ever messed up and unintentionally caused an accident, it could have been a really bad accident with the kinds of speeds I'm talking about. I'm sure, with a great deal of practice I could have gotten better at this technique, but not soon enough to prevent the problem and never enough to be completely safe. If my inherent strategy for flying was a problem, then it blew another huge hole in my plans to remain with the bots. I also thought about Searing Wind. She stood as a vivid example of everything I had once imagined about the best of Wonderbots. They could be an emergency response team when needed, and I was there personally when they did precisely that. Searing Wind was the very pony that saved my life, but upon closer examination, I learned that life was a great deal more complicated than the idealistic picture I once had in mind. Having seen her flaws up close, it made me realize the same was probably true for the rest of the bots in one way or another. They were all flawed in some way, and they all had personal issues. Military training could never cancel that out completely. After watching the bots fall apart a little bit after Searing Wind quit, it made me realize that they might not have been as close or cohesive as I originally thought. It could have been a sign of how much they cared about her, but that would have also indicated how fragile their morale could be. If those who can inspire me can also disappoint me, what do I turn for my next heroes? The words itself can be quite ambiguous, because it depends on the perspective of the viewer, just like the opinions of what is considered beautiful. But perhaps the biggest problem with my time in the academy came from deep within. Testing my limits was fine, and to a point I'm glad I did it, but something felt off about disciplining the wind itself to that degree. The wind is an element of pure nature, and by its very nature it's meant to be wild and free. It can be useful at times, and it always is when I need it to. But setting a schedule to it and fixed routine practiced over and over again, something felt inherently wrong about that. It's not to say that I disrespect ponies who find comfort in this lifestyle. It has many advantages. It's the best strategy for working as a team as effectively and efficiently as possible. But the wind. It didn't feel right to put it in a box and put a label on it. It's wind! It wasn't meant to be at the back and call off some militaristic force for their personal convenience and amusement for the masses. Instead, it is intrinsic to the entire planet, and it demanded a level of flexibility this kind of lifestyle doesn't allow. If I am the wind as well, then my destiny is tied to the destiny of the wind itself. And the wind serves no individual pony. Instead, it serves all creatures everywhere. And that's probably what I was meant to do as well. I was meant to serve all life by going where and when I'm needed the most. That's why I made a flying house, which can move everywhere. More and more, I started to realize this lifetime among the bots was too limited. Like the wind, I'm supposed to be wild and free. I'm supposed to be ready to go wherever and whenever I need to go. Forcing the wind to serve the military can be done, but it feels like swimming against the flow of the river. It feels like defying nature rather than cooperating with it. I don't begrudge those who chose to stay here, but I started to realize why this bus wasn't for me specifically. On the day before I quit the boards for the final time, I had a chance to speak with Skydancer about my experiences with the boards so far and how I felt about it. I told him everything, kind of like I'm doing with you right now. It hurt me slightly that he didn't seem a bit surprised, like he already knew this was going to be the final outcome. Sometimes you have to take the wrong path in life before you find the right one, Skydancer pointed out. Until you do, you will never know why it was wrong to begin with. The right path isn't always obvious either. Well, it was for me, but this isn't about me. It's about you and your life. It's about your destiny and your choices. Do you really think I should quit? Had I been tasked with a painful this? Even saying that made him feel dirty, like the mere mention of quitting was inherently wrong. It doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. So, what do you think? Skydancer reflected. I don't like performing. I can't seem to fit in with a social group that requires bold personalities and high egos. I don't know how close you are to the truth. High egos. I hate competition. My hero worship of the boards ended up more complicated than I thought. My method of flying is disrupting to the rest of the flyers, and I can't circumvent it. And it feels just plain wrong to try. I got this power in the first place by listening to the spirit of wind, but ever since I joined the boards, the voice of the wind feels like it's backed off and quietly waiting for me to realize why this is a mistake. I hate the idea of labeling myself a quitter, but if I am to serve a question in some larger and more meaningful role, then does it make it right? The Wonderboards was never meant to be prison. It's supposed to be a privilege for those who really belong here. If you can't understand that, then you already have your answer, Skydancer replied. Featherwind looked depressed. I guess I do, but I still feel reluctant. Also, yes, I am prepared. I guess I'm not as prepared because there is no sugar in this tea. Just a second. Much better. Yeah, it's really bad when you forget to put sugar in your tea and it's just bland. I'm sorry about that. Like it or not, I think there are some ponies here that look up to me. They look forward to seeing what I will do next, and some ponies here are excited by the prospect of seeing the very first unicorn Wonderboard. Well, someday there will be, but don't let the mere idea shackle you. Oh, that's not you. Perhaps someday there will be, but don't let that mere idea shackle you. Stay only because it feels right, otherwise don't. Skydancer gave a simple shrug. The reason he came here was to find out if this place would be a right fit for you. If your experience is teaching you that it is not a good fit, then there is no shame in that. Most fresh cadets drop out within the first couple of weeks. You lasted 2 months. That's a testament to your endurance and your talents. You have already broken a lot of records here, and you have turned some heads for far more than one reason. It is a legacy you will always have in your life. But if you really are meant to do more with your life, then by all means, don't let this please hold you back from what you really are meant to do. When you do find your true destiny, it will feel perfect, just like the time you found your cutie mark, except on a larger scale. That was just one moment of perfection. Being in sync with your destiny feels far better. It's about waking up every single day, overjoyed to be alive. It's about looking forward to the challenges you face rather than dreading them. It's about loving your job so much that being paid for it simply feels like an unnecessary bonus because you love it enough to be willing to do it for free. Wow, I wish I found a job like that. I'll let you in on a little secret. While nearly every pony finds their cutie mark eventually, very few find their perfect destiny afterward. Most ponies go to their graves with regrets in their lives, and this is why. Letting go of something that feels kind of right and kind of wrong can be very hard, because you might feel uncertain if anything will replace it if you let it go. All I can tell you about that is to be brave. Let go of things that no longer serve you and plunge forward. Just let it go. Let it go. The quad never bothered me anyway. You told me that at one time you were so desperate to find your place in the world that you literally leapt off the cliff. The first time the wind had to save you from lethal fall, and the second time you flew. Remember that feeling. Remember the time you went that far to discover your true self. The real nature of adulthood is complacency. Wow. Complacency? That's a new word. Oh, okay. Satisfaction. I have never heard this word. I learned the new word again. It is the pitfall most of us get trapped in, because most of us never escape it. Most of us tend to stay in it for so long that we adjust and reorient ourselves into thinking that the whole is the new normal. Skylines so sad with hoof quotes. Normal. But you are still young, and the wind is still calling out to you. Answer it. When you find your path, it will be far better than this one. And if this one feels good in any way, then imagine how much better your true path will feel. I've been thinking about my father. About something my father told me many times when I was younger. About how my mark doesn't chain me to one destiny. He said the fact I was a unicorn meant I was supposed to master magic as well. I was born in a family normally gifted in that. His argument therefore seems sound when I carefully measure all the facts that are involved in my life. But here, in this academy, I kept being taught, no, quit the hocus pocus. That's not how we do things around here. We don't use magic like that. If you want to use magic, go back to Magic Academy. This is the Wonderbots Academy, and here we only train the best flyers in Equestria. That argument is sound as well, because it matches the intents of the Academy. Frankly, I was surprised to manage. I was surprised I managed to get in at all, but after I did, I kept on encountering one barrier after another. Don't do this, don't do that, do this way, do it that way. It feels so terribly limiting. Then imagine a destiny without those limits. Silencer encouraged. A place where you can fly and cast spells to your heart's content. If you really master both, then... well, there is no academy for that. There is an academy for each separately, but not of the two combined into one idea. Maybe Celestia herself can give you a few tips, but that's all about I can think of. Maybe you can open your own academy. No, not a good idea. It's perfectly fine to be a pioneer of brand new art, but such ponies cannot look upon others for guidance when it comes to past experience. If you really are the first to do something, then you are the closest thing this world has to an expert in that particular field, and that's fine. It's a bold and brave choice, but at least then you get the honor of being the first to do something. Also, when it comes to exploring a new art, wild freedom is a helpful tactic, because there are no instructors for what you are about to do. Also, you could write down the instructions as you discover them, if you want to, and he should do that. As a member of the Squirrel family, you should have some experience in this affair. Teach others how you did it, then you won't be so alone. What about you? Silencer wondered with a look to Skylancer. How is life among the Wonderbots treating you? Me? It's great! Skylancer cheered brightly as he spread his wings with delight. I can say this is the best. This path is meant for me because I deeply appreciate every aspect of it. Flying with the bots is great. Inspiring the next generation of ponies is great. Being a pony that I once looked up to and wanted to be when I was grow up is great. I will never tire of waking up in the morning and keep on doing this. I love this career path choice, and I love my life. But that's just me. I'm my own separate pony. I'm me and you are you. I am too, aren't I? I have to find your own way. You have to find your own way. Just like it was when you sought your cutie mark. Keep on exploring until you find something that feels just perfect. Until you do find it, keep on exploring. Every wrong path you take guides you to the correct one, and therefore it wasn't a waste of time. Eventually, when you do find the right path, you can also look fondly at your memories of exploring to the wrong path, because it added spice and variety to your life. Trying a little of this and a little of that can feel fulfilling when you add it all up. How will I know when I have discovered the right path? Had I been asking concern. You will know when the challenge is within it. And what? You will know it when the challenge is within it, and there will always be challenges. Feel fun and exciting, rather than dreadful or boring. Oh, this line threw me off. This part. You will know it when the challenges within it feel fun and exciting rather than dreadful or boring. I don't know how you could say it better. You can't, can you? You will know when you found it, because you realize that everything you have done before that moment has been leading up to this point. When you get there, everything falls into place and it just makes sense. The only way I can best describe it, it's like, wow. The only way I can best describe it's like the day you discovered your cutie mark. It's the same inner feeling, except it's ongoing. Whatever path you are meant to follow, you also know that the rest of Equestria needs you to fulfill that role. You were born a special purpose. We all have. Finding that place also means being the perfect fit for every pony around you as well. When you do what you are meant to do, it's no other pony can take your place. Well then, there is harmony. And this harmony. Featherwind smiled fondly at his friend, then looked down, then looked forward as he declared, I don't care how old I get, I will never stop looking at you as a mentor and a dear friend. You fulfilled those roles for me perfectly every step of my journey, and I am infinitely grateful to you for that. Ah, thanks little dude. Skylancer ruffled Featherwind's mane with a nogi. As I said before, it feels good to be an inspiration to some pony. Someday it will be your turn to fulfill that role for some pony else, and that's fine. The cycle will continue. Like me, for example. Oh. Like me, for example. Starbase thought to herself happily. If I didn't know better, I would say the Skylancer was a prophet too, just like an oracle. Skylancer looked up with a long, pleasant sigh and said it aloud. Sky Dancer, the first flying unicorn. I remember that was the title of your first poem. That poem has called me to you, and look what happened since then. Skylancer smiled at Featherwind as he said, Every bird must leave the nest someday. Eventually I will have nothing left to teach you, so you will have to learn the rest of your lessons on your own, or find a new mentor who will further your potential to the next level. Our relationship feels perfect, because it was meant to be by fate, and I help you guide to the next step, but only you can cross that final threshold. I have my own path to fulfill in the meanwhile, and I wish you luck in your own journey. Featherwind spread his wings, then said, Take care! One final time before leaping and soaring off. And spatting on the ground because he forgot to fly. I sat there alone for a while, contemplating what he said, and other conclusions I reached on my own. Eventually, I took off as well, following the call of the wind. There is a stopping point. I should get doing something. Featherwind sat at the top of the mountain that narrowed down this one tip. Above him there was a huge whirling cyclone of wind, visible to the naked eye due to the clouds that whirled within. You know what? Let's stop this. Wait, time is not right because it has lyrics. This one. Within those clouds, there were flashes of lightning and roars of thunder spinning around him. It didn't rain on him. If those were rain clouds, it was more likely to be water. The water would be flung outside of the cyclone due to the centrifugal force of the spin. As Featherwind looked up into this whirling storm, lightning flashes reflected in his eyes. It didn't feel good to quit the boat. It felt like breaking a promise. That wasn't really true. Just about any pony was welcome to join or quit the academy, and as Searing with Quill demonstrated, even making it into the boards officially didn't bar her from quitting. At each level of the ladder, no pony was stuck. The academy could kick some pony out of the boards, or the individual could leave on their own volition. It works both ways. To get this far, however, required an intense commitment that left painful just to back out of. If he did, he had to wonder what could replace it. Featherwind closed his eyes and reviewed everything he knew. The wrong social group, the wrong technique, the wrong ideology, and most importantly, the wrong feeling. His powers and abilities stem from a direct connection with nature itself, and one aspect of it in particular. If that's a hint to what he was supposed to do instead, then what did nature itself do? Looking up into the dizzying whirling sky around him for inspiration, he realized the answer to that question was quite complicated, especially from a perspective of a single mortal being. What the sky did in totality required a very big picture to understand, but the basic principle of it is similar to the blood circulating within his own body. He is made of a vast variety of complex parts, but together they work in harmony to serve a larger purpose. Nature itself is like that on a larger scale, but he also had an ego. He had self-awareness. That's actually worked to his detriment more often than not, but it didn't have to be that way. Consciousness could be used for useful things too. It's all a matter of perspective. When it came to his inner connection to nature itself, his feelings and instincts tended to be the better guide. He sat on that mountain at a particular moment because it simply felt right at the time. He felt like he needed that moment to help him ascend to the next level of his life. In order to do that, however, he had to learn to let go of the past. If it didn't serve him anymore, then it needed to be abandoned. To be as light as air itself requires a heart free from burdens. He had to be willing to let everything go and simply be the wind itself. I disagree with this commitment, because you shouldn't actually go of your past. You should learn from it. Again, as I mentioned in the last chapter, instead of running away from your past, you should welcome it in your heart and learn from it. That was a mistake. I learned from it. I changed. That's probably what he means by letting go. So Featherwind meditated like he did so many years ago. He had been on many fun and distracting detours since then, and it was time to get back to basics. He breathed in deeply, then exhaled deeply. Each breath he took filled him with magic and power. As he listened to the wind, he started to realize his perspective was too narrow all along. The wind was available at his back and call. True, but that was only a fraction of the truth. He was in tune with the entire sky and everything that was within it. The clouds, the rain, lightning, thunder, all those things worked in tandem with each other. None of those things were complete without willingness to look at the big picture. So, he flew upwards, drifted up by the wind. All he did was lighten his body weight. The wind itself carried him up to the center of the giant storm cyclone. He spread his legs in every direction while keeping his eyes closed. He drew in everything around him. As he did so, he could feel the storm closing in around him. He found he did not have to open his eyes to see it. When he was really in tune with nature, he just knew where everything was instinctually. He could feel the flow, and he let it guide him. Then, with a little more practice, he started to guide the flow himself. He had it dark and weave all about him. He felt like a conductor in a symphony. The sky itself danced to his music. Then he used his own magic to project an inner song from his head. The sound of the song was carried in the wind and spiraled all around him, somehow amplified, which turned the entire storm into a giant speaker. I can imagine he is in the storm. He is closing his eyes. He's flying around. He feels like he's conducting a beautiful orchestra. But actually, when someone is looking at it from far, he can see a pony just spinning around in the wind like a crazy person, like a leaf caught in the wind. Or we could say feather. And it's just a mess. It probably looks like as his first flight. In a test, he suddenly froze the storm. All of the sounds around him ceased. Everything grew still and quiet except for rain, which suddenly fell from the sky, ever since the clouds no longer tried to hold it up. Featherwind drifted downwards, falling as slow as a feather. I see. So, this is my destiny, or at least my larger self. I am not just the wind, I am the entire sky, and all the weather within it. Interesting. All Featherwind had to do after that was to figure out what he should do with that power. But for that moment, he didn't feel like he had to do anything. He could just let the sky be itself. Just as he should be himself. Having great power doesn't require one to use it all the time. Maybe it was better to simply realize it could be called upon. But there was no urgent need to do so yet. The realization itself was the only important lesson for the day. No, it's not the only important lesson for the day, but it is a really important lesson. Which actually leads to the path of not an evil pony. Even if something came up later that would make this power useful, it didn't have to be used to its fullest degree. This power was too great, too might to require its maximum usage every single time. Instead, it was important to learn to use it only as necessary, and to a degree the program called for. Until then, the default was to let the sky be itself. It did what it does for a good reason, and even when it did require direct manipulation, as Parasite do it all the time, it was important to move with grace and purpose, and never further than the need called for. And that is the end. As I said, this is a great realization. This leads to the path of a not evil pony. This is what most of the villains did not realize, that if you have power you don't have to use it all the time. they got sick with power. It was like, oh yeah, I have the power, I have to use it. Mostly on other ponies who are close to me. If I have this power, then that means I'm the most powerful and I need to flaunt it. I have to use it. I have to rule over the world with it. At least Featherwind is not thinking that yet. I hope he doesn't go that way at some point. It can happen that he will realize that, oh yeah, I still have that power. But something really bad has to happen to do that. But actually, kudos to Skydancer. Kudos to Skydancer. He was actually a really good mentor. And yeah, he said everything that needed to say. That's needed to be said. That if you love something, that you just have to go with it. If you don't like something, then just look for something else. It's not like that in real life, because chapter is actually a conclusion of the story arc. I would say the first three arcs are done. He's more grown up because he fully realizes who he is. Instead, he needs to be figured out what to do. Yep, I agree with that. It feels like a conclusion. It is the ending of I'm done with the Wonderbolt act. Because for the right, wait, let's see how many arcs were there. First arc was when he actually trying to find his wind power, or at least just his power. Then the second arc is mostly this, when he's in the Wonderbots. Was there a third arc? Let's just say it like this. The first arc is when he's trying to get his cutie mark until he gets his cutie mark. Then he's learning his power, and when he's instead. But I can call it these three as one act, one big act, and this is the closure of that. This feels like closure of one big arc right here. It's a good chapter. Let's just say it. It has everything. I found nothing wrong with it, actually. Other than Stan not joining back to the Wonderbots. Yeah, this is actually new, I think. This has not happened in the story, that the Wonderbots dark side. So what is the longest of the story, or second arc? Oh wait, I don't even have to open it. I see the chapter 14 is 3 times longer than this one. Oof. That's gonna be a long reading. I don't know if I'm gonna break it off or not. But that's gonna be a long reading session nonetheless. I love it. I like this chapter. It's still not my best still not the best chapter I found, but yeah, this is a really good chapter. I think the show touched the Wonderbots dark side a little bit. Not too much, only a little bit. But yeah, it did touch on the dark side a little bit. But I closed off that part of the episode out of my mind because it was such a bad episode. Also, I have to ask Quill, which chapter has the spoiler again? I hope it's not 14. I think in the prologue you said it. Wait, that's new. Wait. This part is new. Okay, we are far from it. I remember this not having here. You changed the prologue fair warnings. However, when the villains show up, the story can moment to skyrocket to R ratings, not because of the language or sexual content, but for gory violence and over creep factor. Wait, that was there. Wasn't it? Villains are villains after all, and the story does not hold back with them, although They too are keeper of humor and pop culture references. I look forward to that. I remember this part is inspired by those. I remember you said it here, which chapter holds spoilers up to which episode, but it seems it's not here anymore. No, it's not here. Now that is a good story for it. Song for it. The Velvet Room team. Poem for the Lost Souls or something like that. Oh, Poem for Everyone's Souls. That's the song. It's such a good song that they kept it for all the personas. It even had in Persona 2. But yeah, I really liked this chapter, and tomorrow at the same time I will start the next episode, the next chapter. I don't know if I'm gonna break it up into 2 sections or not, but tomorrow at the same time it's gonna happen, if it's okay with you. Episode 14, Unexpected Friends and Enemies. You almost crossed that barrier. I try. Also, before leaving, I definitely would make this real fast. Oof. That's a little bit of a problem. That this is bigger than the last one. It has a much longer size. $124. Okay. 124 should be fine. That's a super long title name. It was actually out of the actual canvas. There we go. You can see half of it, but that's fine. You can imagine how it looks like. It looks like the same as the other title screens. Chapter 14. So when I end this stream, it's gonna happen really soon. I'm gonna put out the next stream already, so you can just click the bell if you want to. Let me see. What is this? But you know Taco, and you know Persona. I'm talking with one of my friends. It's fun. But yeah, I'm gonna leave now. Wait, Let's look at chapter 14 one more time, sometime today. Yeah, you do. Today already? Wait, how much time do you have today? How? You don't have too many hours left of today, do you? Because your today is yesterday for me. But yeah, I'm gonna leave now. For now, oh, it's already 1 a.m. there. Wow. That's a lot of difference because it's 10 p.m. here. 10 a.m. sorry. So we have 9 hours difference between us. It's a lot. It's a lot. And sadly, from Wednesday to Saturday, I won't be able to stream because I will be working in the morning. Yeah, you should be sleeping soon. Have a good sleep, Dice. And have a good sleep as well, Quill. Or a good editing session. I don't know what you are gonna edit about it because I'm not reading this. But yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm probably gonna stream a little bit of Persona in Twitch. But that's all. See you tomorrow, I guess. Or today, if you will. But yeah, see you next time. Bye bye, and good night.